This next woman I'm going to introduce under the color of hot pink for identity, because she embodies the spirit of this community. And after Carla announced that she would retire, this woman stepped up and is proudly serving today as the interim executive director of Stonewall Columbus. She's a lifelong organizer standing for causes of equality and social justice. She is at the helm of your Stonewall Columbus. Will you please give a really warm round of applause to Miss Deb Steele.
Hello, thanks for being here this morning. I'm really into the interim role because I'm also elected official for my township, so those folks need me up there. And that all of us, it's going to take all of us to keep our organization going, so I'm happy to step into this role in a temporary way and ride this wave that we're all on. So I would like to take the time to recognize and thank the incredible staff of Stonewall Columbus, Sabrina Boykin, Sterling Clemmings, Kathy Crow, Jeannie Harold, Ryan Scarlata, and Michelle Fernandez, also known as Mick. They have pulled together to help keep our great organization moving forward through relocation, public controversy, and some internal transition. And while it hasn't always been easy, this team has risen to the challenge to help keep Stonewall a place of pride for all. The Team Stonewall. And I've seen that in the 6 weeks or 8 weeks I've been working for the organization, just the continual flood of volunteers and people who come in, feel at home. I feel like I serve and work for them, and it's been pretty fantastic. I'd also like to thank Rob, the Board of Dedicated Trustees, for their leadership, as well as the steadfast volunteers who helped pull together yesterday's huge event. And I'd certainly like to thank each of you in this room today. We salute you for your presence, for your ongoing contributions of time, talent, and treasure. Stonewall wouldn't be where we are today without you, so please give yourself a round of applause. So there's an evil in our house. There's an evil dwelling right now in our White House. And sadly, it's not simply a person. Trump won our outdated electoral college based on hate. Hate and fear paralyze progress. Today I stand with our LGBTQIA+ community who knows hate when we see it. I've seen it for years when I speak and a feminine voice lands on ears that expected to hear a male voice. I've seen it when my spouse clarifies to other women that I'm not in the wrong restroom. I've seen it when people stare at her tattoos and gawk at someone for being out and proud for who they are. Fear makes people hide. Fear makes people vote against their own interests, or worse than that, not vote at all. In June of 2015, when our marriage purgatory finally ended with the Supreme Court's ruling, my head was spinning with a lot of emotions. I'm thankful I can see her if she's in a car accident or in the hospital, needs to let me into her room. I'm thankful we have legal protections and rights rather than some delusion of equality via skim milk caveat of marriage. But I remain uneasy because far too many of us are still left behind. As AJ said, I'm a seasoned organizer who's new to working for an LGBTQ organization. Our community is vast and growing. As we add more stripes to our flag and letters to our acronym, we need to grow our tent. All of us are keenly aware the whole community fought for our right to be gathered here today. Our grandmothers and grandfathers of the gay movement started with bags on their heads in this city, on High Street, because they could not afford to be terminated from their jobs as teachers, firefighters, and every type of vocation you can think of. Gone are the days that our community had to communicate with colored lights outside of watering holes to communicate to patrons if it was safe or not at that moment. I'm here today because of so many others' work. I knew that there was sanctuary in Columbus. In the mid-90s, when I would come here as a teenager, I could see our pride flag, and I knew it would get better. Then there are our role models, heroes and heroines, sometimes seen from afar. Mine is a man named Donald. He is whom I consider to be my gay uncle. He was a neighbor of my mother who, she met him in elementary school in Cleveland, and as people do, he hung out with my mom because his dad had a drinking problem. My mother, who's here today, was a sophomore in college before she understood her friend, who had been taken in by my grandparents, was gay. My grandparents loved him. I always knew that. Apparently, he was very good at running the vacuum cleaner as well. So as I was growing up, he was my hero. Sadly, AIDS took him from us, but the care he took with his family, being my family, left me a stronger queer youth. So here we are, more powerful than a handful of years ago, but we're also still aware of work yet to be done. We'll continue to march or dance outside of halls where hate is spoken on the podium. Although we're not all here. That was awesome. I wasn't there, but I was with you in spirit across the river, setting up for Pride. And though not all here in the room, we should recognize the commonality we have with the under and unemployed, the homeless, the undocumented person, and children of undocumented people who live in fear every day. The terror happening at the borders is a fight to define what our country stands for, and it cannot be for tearing families apart. The hate of this administration knows no limits. It has a target not only on our rights, but that of any environmental protections, grants for college, rights for workers to collectively bargain. And we are part of those struggles because those are issues of humanity. And it is outrageous. We have yet to pass any sensible gun legislation for our students in the classroom. But as I said, these are our issues. We are large, we contain multitudes, and we need each other to keep fighting injustices. Lastly, I'm inspired by the child in a grocery cart, a stranger who impulsively pointed at my wife and said, "See, Mom, I knew it was possible." Likely that child was pointing at my wife's bright hair, but I really don't care what specific attribute. It is beautiful. I don't care which specific attribute that child was pointing at. The point is the child knew pride when she saw it. Thank you.